Alrighty, we are live. Let's go ahead and turn you off. Bloop. Good afternoon, or whatever time of day it is for all of you. Here it is Sunday, and it is time for a Sunday hobby stream. But first, the rundown of what's on the Sunday preview. Let's switch over to that tab. Display capture. Boop. Full screen. It's the ogres, it's the mob tribes. I'll turn the music down a little bit while I'm talking. Alright, so we've got the Sunday preview rundown. Well, I mean, obviously we'll do the full video later, but just for a special treat for you guys here, it's the ogres. All of these are not really my bag, but they could all be described by one word, which is chonky. Do the kids still say absolute size of that unit? If they do. Or sorry, absolute size of that lad, absolute unit. Yes, there we go. I got Morgan the Mighty. Basically, it's all the stuff that was in the box or previewed earlier. So, read them all. I don't really particularly like diorama ones, but it's there. Grell Fire Fist. So, sorry, 1 second. Man with Cannon. Good time of day, good afternoon. Hello, Bellianor, and Duke Muzi, and King Generous. Man with the Cannon. The new Tyrant, the new Butcher, the new Iron Guts, and the new Gluttons, and the Cleaver's Gutseers can also be built as these weird execution-y men. And the Maulbeast Cavalry, of course, you know, these are your new Goliath Ashwaste guys, right? And new Fear Cats. I would say that, except they're actually coming out with real new Fear Cats. We don't know when those are. I think these would do just as good. Unfortunately, you have to buy the Ogre to get with them. Man Trapper, again, more friend. This one is not a new kit. This one is used to be an Underworlds kit. Been a long time, but it's a good kit still. I will say that that little ankle right there on that Gobbo is incredibly fragile, and I broke mine and had to repair it, and it doesn't look right. Okar's Torbad. This is the Regiment of Renown set with the older stuff on it, which is quite interesting, so I guess that's not going away. And, of course, the actual Battle Tome. And the dice. Hey, at least these dice are readable. I wish they weren't clear, but, you know, I guess it's supposed to be like their Everwinter thing, because they're frosted plastic. So Black Library stuff, none of which means much to me. False Gods, Blood of the God Eater, Witch Hunters, the Omnibus. It does say that we'll mostly be focusing on the Ogre Mod Tribes this coming week, and pre-orders are delayed for those of you in Australia and New Zealand. Very sorry. All right. Back to the painting. Microphone. There we go. Ooh, I'm awake and vaguely limited pain. There we go, King of the Fleet Monkeys. Slap some paint on something. Just like always, if the music is too loud or not at all effective, please let me know. I will tweak to our heart's content. So what are we doing today? Well, I have my first game of the new Necromunda edition today, actually. I'm not going to be able to get painted in time for that. Coffee. But I'm at least going to get started with my new list and what will be on my list for our first little campaign. And this list, like all goods list, is almost entirely based on vibes and not actually necessarily what is good. Oh. Ow. Oh my gosh, phone. Sorry, I lost the... There we go. Okay. And by based on vibes, I mean based on the things I already have ready, with some exceptions. So, if you remember from last time, I had I had kind of gotten this new leader guy ready to go, and he's no longer legal to start the game with, because plasma pistols are no longer on the Orlock house list. So he's gone, not using him. This guy is double screwed, because he's got a plasma pistol and a power pick, neither of which are on the house list, so we're definitely not using him. I will say Orlock didn't... We filmed our Escher, like our initial Escher preview on Friday. I don't think it's going to be out until this coming week. And we're pretty positive. Escher feel a lot like Escher. Orlock, maybe less so, which is kind of a shame. Oh, no, that was already zoomed in. Zoom in. There we go. And then focus. Hello, the Trader Guardsman. There we go. Alright. So I'm going based off of the models I have. Most of which are the ones we've been working on. They're absolutely going to make their way into the gang. So, got our base ganger here, just an auto gun. Got our base ganger here with just a shotgun. Shotguns are still pretty good. Auto guns are fine. You want basic gangers. Heavy bolter gal. The one thing I'm not sure what I want to do is, do I make her a champion and give her bulging biceps as a skill, because Orlocks do have access to that, or do I make her a ganger and give her and have her be a gunner, and then just give her, or have her be her heavy, who has bulging biceps? The advantage, of course, is the gunner is about 60 credits cheaper, which when you're putting a heavy bolter on somebody matters a lot. The advantage of the champion, of course, is that she's got a 3-up the ballistic skill, and you do want your heavy bolter to be good. This guy will be in our list. Everything feels very dark. Not sure why. Probably up the light on the camera. I'll have to play with that later. Arms Master with a combat shotgun. However, he will be. I was going to put Mr. Arms Master with a giant arc hammer. The arc hammer is pretty good now. But I need to save credits because my leader. Actually, we're going to start with painting because we're going to put some. You got this guy here. And you're like, oh, so you're starting with a melta-gun? And the answer is yes. I kit bashed this one-handed melta-gun. It's not a one-handed melta-gun, he's just holding it in one hand. I took the bolt pistol arm and attached it to the back of a melta-gun. And I gave him a chainsword. The chainsword's not actually great, because, you know, it lost its AP, I think, or it lost its strength +1. Either way, it's not great. But it's a good thing to start the game with, and I figure a chainsword is very leaderly. So again, like I said, I'm doing vibes. But this is my leader, and he is going to have a melta-gun to start. And he has, because leaders in Orlock have shooting skills, he has got run and gun, which is which gives the assault keyword. And what that assault keyword does is you can move and then dash and then shoot as a free action after dashing. Which is really, really good with a melta-gun because it lost the -1 to hit. So, 3-up ballistic skill, run and gun is terrifying, and I plan to utilize it. Zoom out a little bit. No, not. Focus out a little bit. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. One of these days we'll work this out, huh? Oh my gosh. Now, this guy was already, in the process of painting. So I'm not going to reprime him in his entirety. What we're going to do is we're going to throw on some brush on primer. A phrase that used to scare me, but not anymore because of the new brush on primers available out there. Yeah, the chainsword did also go down in credits. It went down to 20 instead of 25. I think it's not a bad weapon at all. I should note that for me it feels worse because the person I'm playing later today is playing squats. Kevin. I'm playing Kevin. And Kevin's playing squats. And I know he's going to be playing squats in the campaign, so a user strength weapon when you're strength 3 feels a lot worse. Is that mini primed gray? This guy, he is not primed yet. We're about to fix that. Well, he's primed. He was slap chopped, for definition. And then I redid his arm, so I'm going to have to reprime those. I never paint on bare plastic. If Necromunda Shadow War was to come out, would you play it? And what faction would you choose? You're going to have to... Okay, so I only started my Warhammer journey in 2017, so you're going to have to remind me what that was. Because I have vague notions of what Shadow War Armageddon was, but I don't actually know. Now, where did I put my brush on primer? Found it. This stuff is great. If you are like me and you're like, oh, brush on primer is awful, don't ever use it, that is no longer the case. The Monument brush on primer is very, very good. It's self-leveling. It's sticky. It's not a paid advertisement. I have no affiliation with Pro Acryl in any way, shape, or form. I just really like... I use a lot of Pro Acryl paints, as you've seen, but I don't use them exclusively by any means. Mostly because they are very liquidy, which doesn't always jive with what I want out of paints. but I do love their brush-on primer. It's like, it functions like a brush-on primer should. So, we're going to be very sloppy with this, because if it gets on the other stuff I'm going to repaint anyway, I don't care. Lucky me, Necromunda stream. I'm building a Orlock base box. Excellent. I did order the Orlock Underhive box, because that is the one gang I don't actually really have. I have almost nothing of. And I don't know... I'm not going to be playing them on our first campaign. I don't know if and when I'll be playing them. I read through their rules. Some of the stuff got buffed, some of the stuff got nerfed. To me, their Psychoteria powers actually feel a lot more useful, because they no longer have those... The old Psychoteria powers had this really crippling 3-inch range, because the goal was that you were supposed to use the thralls. But I think, as we talked about in our previous edition content, that worked out far better in theory than it did in practice. In practice, that really wasn't fun. Most people took the one Psychoteria they had to, and then took a bunch of other weird powers. This stuff is great because you can just kind of slop it on without thinning it, and it will self-level as long as you're not overly aggressive, and be a nice base. But now, their powers, some of which are very good, and you just get to pick one on your leaders and champions, no longer have that really bad range restriction, but you do still have the familiar pet thing that you can use to, like, channel them through walls. Yes, Orlock did lose some of their tools, like everyone did, which is my main complaint about the game. But I think Orlock are coming out pretty strong, honestly. They have... The one big thing that they lost is they no longer have shooting as a base skill. They have Cunning, which, you know, of course, gives them good access to Infiltrate, which is fantastic and very Orlock. But shooting is still the primary offensive skill in the game, and they don't have that anymore. So, it's not all sunshines and roses for them. But I looked at Orlock and I'm excited to play them. Their prospect is still bad. We probably need to get another box of regular gangers. I mean, yeah, you could get another box of regular gangers. I don't know what's on the sprues yet because I've never assembled them yet. I'm not sure how I'm going to paint them. On the one hand, the dark brown cloaks are very evocative. On the other hand, I kind of want to do something weird like deep red cloaks and have them kind of be like this, you know, this red-robed Inquisition. I do know that it won't be blue. I have this weird thing where I don't want any of my two gangs to share the same primary color. So, Orlock will be blue, even though they're actually mostly a black, but the reality is that blue is what you see. Bunch of special weapons on the guys. Yeah, honestly, if you build a varied thing, you can't go wrong. Most of the weapons have not changed in like major ways. The Melt-A-Gun went up because it's really good. It's 140 credits, but it's like really powerful now. Even more so than it always was because it doesn't have the -1 to hit. Or the rather you don't. Yeah, you know what I mean. The AP is more important, and the Melt-A-Gun slaps. Toxin is a lot better now than it was. Like, Toxin took a major buff. Before, Toxin was only really something you ever played with if you were playing Escher. Now, like the Orlock Flechette pistol, which has Toxin, is a very good grab, especially for your cheaper guys. It also looks awesome. So, yeah, put Flechette pistols on people, honestly. Because then the 2 wound, you're like always wounding on a 3, and that's so good. Alright, so we're going to get this... I mean, we'll probably revisit this guy halfway through the stream, because we want this to dry. Remember with Brush on Primer that you're not actually looking for, like, pure coverage. You're, like, so it can be splotchy. That's actually perfectly fine with Brush on Primer. Because you're only, even if it's a really thin layer, you're only looking for something there for the paint to stick to. It does not need to be a smooth coat, or an opaque coat. Is Orlock's psychometric harness any good now? 1 second. I gotta get my books. mean, I'm pretty sure the answer to that is no, but I'm gonna check. Delaquay. Goliath. Escher. Psychometric harness. I'm not sure what you mean exactly. There's something... You mean the psychomantic claws, or the thing that comes on the Psychomancer's harness? Let me see. So the thing that what is it? The Psygeist wears? Because the Psychomantic claws... Yeah. Let me see. 30... Well, okay, I'll tell you this much. It's a lot cheaper. Fighter wearing a Psychomancer's harness increases their movement by 2, and they always have the clamber. That's it. That's all it does. Hey, 2 inches for 35 credits is really good. The problem is that the only person you can put it on is the Psygeist, who still has 5 up weapon skill and ballistic skill, strength up to 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, 6 up save. So let me put it this way. The Psygeist did not get any better. However, he got way cheaper. No longer does he have a 170 credit equipment piece that only he can wear. Now it's a 35 credit equipment piece. So, is it good? No. Is it cheaper? Yes. What do you think the order of journal releases will be like? I think it's going to be, Escher first. My guess is Goliath next, because Goliath will in the starter box, right? Sorry, here's coffee. Yeah, I blame Loading River and the Surge. It's got me into coffee. I'm becoming a coffee person. Goliath will be next. After that, complete crapshoot, could be anything. I was not around for the full release cycle of your last Necromunda edition, so I don't know what came out after Escher and Goliath. If we're going by, because book order is weird. It goes Cotter, Delac, Escher, Goliath, Orlock, Damsar, I think. Anyway, okay, so, who else be painting for this game? We have a lot of people that are kind of already pre-built, and I do have some unbuilt Orlock. 2 sets of dice in the box? No, there is, but there's your set of D6s, and there's your set of Necromunda dice, but there's not two full sets. Now, the really big problem that I'm facing is wreckers. All of my wreckers are built in ways that are no longer legal. Because, I have 2 guns here. Well, plasma pistols aren't on the list anymore, so... I could do that later, but... Also, records went up to a 5 and 5 instead of a 4 to hit in ballistic skill, I think. So this guy, hey, he's got a chainsword. Guess what else he has? A plasma pistol. Not starting with him. Boop. This guy here, he's got a flail. Flails aren't even on the house list at all anymore. That does irritate me when they take stuff off the house list that is in the kit. There's no flails in the kit. I could just say it's a mall. And I probably am going to bring this guy because he's painted. My best bet is probably her because she has a demo charge and just a normal stub gun that I could say is any other kind of gun. For now, I'm going to bring this guy because he's painted. He's going to make it in my list. But yeah, it's kind of a bummer in that case. We've got this guy. He's also painted. Not in a way that I love, but he is painted. So, besides, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, the question for you, Jack, is, I know for a fact, and this is not list tailoring, this is a question of fun, right? So, think of this more about fun rather than list tailoring. Because if I was list tailoring, I would bring, a bunch of, anti-squat stuff, and I'm not. I don't want to. I'm going to have mostly auto guns, because I want to play in the spirit of Orlock. But, do I bring an ambot? I've never I'm answering my own question here. The question is rather, do I want to paint an ambot? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, I really do. Because ambots are cool. And they are very Orlock. And it's a great chance for me to play with some hazard stripes. So I think today we're going to mostly paint an ambot. Yeah, I do have lots of mooks with shotguns and stuff like that, who will get painted over time. I do have another guy with a melted gun that I could have used. Boop. but I guess I don't want to. I don't know. All right. So let's get painting. Make maybe the music be a tiny bit lower. Sure. It is now a tiny bit lower. Is it the thing with like you save games your opponent has on their PlayStation? Yeah, I see you like Castlevania, Snake. The order of general releases will be every gang but the gang I want to build will come first. Yes, there we go. I have an Orlock gang painted fluorescent blue. I call them the boys in blue. My plan is to have UV LED lighting tonight. Ooh. Seismic cannon and GSC. I haven't looked at that deeply yet, but it looked a lot better. GSC in general looked a lot more fun. Is there, let me see, little Doc Ock guy climbing through the Underhive? Yes. I mean, here's the thing. I go for cool anyway. When I build my Orlock, there will be a Noctigul with a snake in there because I think he looks awesome. End of story. Vanstars do have specialists already out. Joe 11. I think dip is step 2, Duke Woozy, because you do need to put down a nice base coat of a color. Well, first, though, let's get him on a real base. And you can actually say we got this one that I actually painted ages ago, right? In fact, I painted it so long ago it's got dust on it. It's also gloss varnished. This is not how I do my Necromunda bases anymore, but this is a great way just to get some bases out the door, right? So, let's... There we go. I put him on an old temporary base. I mean, aimbots are just fun, and I've never actually gotten to really use one. I always end up with other brutes, but all those other brutes are gone now. Rip. So. Also converted Spiker and Noctigul from Drukhari Rack. Oh, that makes sense. For some reason I'm really reading Bella Noir's name to the tune of Bella Ciao. The world is waking outside my window. Bella Noir, Bella Noir, Bella Noir, Noir, Noir. Where's my super glue? So I can put the aimbot on his little base. Some glue there. There we go. You stick there. And while we're doing that, let's take our leader here. Pop him off his temporary, or his base that I was doing because I, well, no, wait, I was doing this base because it came in the Book of the Outlands box. Or the Ash Waste box, sorry. And I was going to Ash Waste base him. And then I decided not to do that. So, there we go. Oops. Well, you know, the brush and primer won't stick if you rub it with your hands, Josh. Ay. Dingus. Yeah, okay. Alright, so the question is, what color do we want our aimbot to be? Do I put him in Orlock colors? I could. Like, paint him Orlock blue. I kind of want to paint him yellow, but I also know that that way madness lies, right? Like, I kind of want to paint him cat construction equipment yellow. But I know that doing so will lead to my untimely badness and death. So I probably shouldn't. Or rather, I know it would be boring to watch, because it would just be putting 14 different layers of yellow on this guy on screen, right? Which would not be terribly interesting. Are you going to fit in this, or do I need to get the big one? Yeah. Oh, look at that lad. Of course, the camera is not going to... Yellow, that's the thing. It's like, yellow would be really... It's basically like paint him like construction equipment, right? Because he is construction equipment. However, perhaps I'm rationalizing here. But, Orlocks would probably... A gang who had an aimbot would probably take the time to, paint it up in their colors. Next up, we'll be taking the Kill Team Specker Squad for my house. Grave Outcast. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Dustwall Garrison Gang. Yeah. I gotta pick up that box just because I like them. Uh-oh. This wrecker might stay on his base because I might have plastic glued this one to the... Uh-oh. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, yeah, Joe, you're correct. If I was going to... I could paint this guy yellow, I would reprime him yellow. That was dumb. Oh, god dang it. Yeah, I clipped the part and sent it flying across the room. Hey, I found it! Good news, everyone. We got the lore behind my force game. Like, Blood Knights, are they Blood Forcers? I can, however, show you a kind of a cool trick that we're going to try here really quickly with the aimbot, which is I'm not going to paint solid colors over them. So we're going to let you dry before we put you on your base. We are not going... Where we're going, we don't need solid colors. No, we're gonna dry brush. Helmore is, if you, I was going to say, keep forgetting. For those of you who are wondering, by the way, is like, how do we have early access to stuff without getting stuff from GW? It's that the owner of the local game shop has very kindly let us look at the stuff when he gets it. He doesn't let us break street date on it. I have to write things down if I want to take it home. But he does let us take a look at it, which is very nice. We're going to dry brush the coat on this guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a very, very dense charred brown dry brush. And actually, dry brush is probably the wrong word. This is more of an overbrush. And you're like, what does overbrushing mean? Overbrushing is where you just take a lot of paint. I'm using a dry palette here because I'm not. And then you take a big dry brush, one of these, and you really get it in there. Because if you thought we were doing construction equipment, God, he's just not so up on camera, does he? Well, let's fix that. Basically, we're painting him brown quickly. But this won't get into the darkest recesses. It's not quite dry brushing because I am not intentionally leaving much undone. I'm actually kind of trying to get everything. But the stuff I can't get will stay black. Or rather, German Panzer Gray. It's a very dark gray. I think on my white balance it shows up more black. I need to fix that still. Paint it one big hazard stripe. He will have hazard stripes. I'm not going to get to that today. But he will have them. By law. So yeah, we're gonna overbrush the heck out of him this nice charred brown. This will form a great base for what we do next, which is overbrushing the heck out of him with a yellow. Basically, we're gonna go for he once was construction yellow, but has degraded due to the elements. More charred brown. Yeah. Construction color robots are my one weakness. Or one of my weaknesses, yeah. Army green with one red shoulder would be the next one. That's very Gundam. You're wearing your inspiration on your sleeve there. Mostly white with blue chest. Yeah. Red midsection and yellow highlights. Just make the Gundam ambot. So yeah, this does not work. The smaller the figure, the less well this technique works. And of course, it will inherently add some texture to the model. So if you're going for a super smooth coat or a golden demon coat, you don't want to do this. But you do also want to make sure when you do this that you don't glob up anything. Like, you do want to like poke stuff. But for construction equipment, which is what this is, texture's fine. So I'm actually quite okay with that. Okay, we're barely getting the paint off our brush here. And of course, do not use a brush that you like for this. I'm using this Citadel brush that I will not replace. I know some people like to paint them like unpainted metal, just super rusty. I usually don't do that. Kind of gotten away from doing that in Necromunda. Still valid, I just don't prefer it. Yeah, I need more brown paint. Good shoulder would be Votom's, actually. Right, that's a Votom Gundam, right? Or on DNA testing random Judies to find distant bastards. Since because of that, Cal Jericho has been recognized. Yeah. Oh, it's like the Klingons have the Sons of None, right? Just put the paint I was using down. What the heck? There you go. Chaos Knights has various mobile suits. Oh yeah, I mean there always has, and hopefully always will be, a lot of cross-pollination between Warhammer and Gundam. And I'm not just talking about Tau. Anytime you have big robots, big stompy robots, or mechs, or whatever, Gundam players and Warhammer players will be there. Alert, alert, alert. Sorry, I know I'm not being terribly wonderfully on camera because it's hard to get all these spots while doing that, but... Alright, I think we got all of them. Alright, now given the next step is going to be some dry brushing and some more overbrushing, we definitely really want to let him dry. But hey, he's already showing up on camera a little better. Just a little... Man, my ISO is just really low. Hold on. Not that one. How is that? Is that a little better? That looks a little better, a little brighter on my screen. Might be an OBS issue. Oh, yeah, alright. Okay. Alright, so we got our first brown layer down. Are you dry yet? Can we glue you to your base? I think we can, yeah. The Wrecker with his tactical rock. His unexplainable tactical rock. Let's smooth that out a little bit. Oh, where'd it go? Robot Jox is a great movie. I mean, it's not a great movie, but it's a classic, funny... I mean, actually not a bad movie. Was Robot Jox Albert Pune? I don't remember if he directed that. But yes, Robot Jox is a great movie. That if you're at all a fan of either hammy, kind of hammy, that era of 80s sci-fi and robot mechs, I would suggest looking into. It is worth a watch. And it's legitimately, it's not painfully bad or anything like that. It's just kind of, you know, it's a low-budget mech movie. You don't get a lot of mech movies with real effects, you know? All respect to Pacific Rim. It's not quite the same. Okay. I want to wait for your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Need 2 more for my gang. I don't want a dog to start. I used the extra leg from an ammo kit to make a lugging beast. That's interesting. Not quite sure I can visualize that, but... it is kind of a shame the humble fighting knife is a lot worse, because it's not, it is a lot worse. But, is what it is. Alright, so with that, I actually have the gang is actually, except for the leader, who I don't want to work on until the primer dries, is actually painted. Now, unfortunately, some of them were painted in my own former scheme, which I don't like as much, which is this red and the brown jacket. So I guess I could take the time to repaint him, or I could start on the bases. Let's start on the bases. So what we're doing for the bases is actually kind of this right here, which is a very, you painted a very, very, very light gray. So I guess let's paint all the bases that aren't currently painted a very, very, very light gray, and paint them a very, very light gray. And then you wash it with a super diluted rusty wash, and then you put on the detail. Ooh, yuck. This is the problem with rebasing stuff after you paint it. That there is... Of course, I still gotta take all these guys outside and varnish them. None of these are fully painted yet, so for example, with this guy still needs lots of highlights. I guess I could start highlighting things today. But if I want to get them table ready, the basing is probably going to be the next thing that actually makes a difference, huh? Yeah, it will be. Actually, I haven't fully... This is the problem with my bases. I haven't fully decided what I want to do with them. Someone in Discord asked about the streams. What are they asking? Sorry, my computer's way over here. I have to go over here and I get away from the microphone. Okay, I see. I'll let Cody answer. I don't let people answer that. Alright. I want Orlock specific ones from assembly to painting. Interesting. And here's the problem is that all of that thought has changed with the new edition. But I guess I can kind of go over what my thought process for building a gang here is. Which is, okay, so you want to look at the skills they have available, the cost you have available. So for example, like, I think an Arms Master is always going to be an auto take. No, I don't often assemble on camera. So, like, the Arms Master has that minus or that reroll bottle checks, which means he's just really good at keeping your gang in the game. And with a combat shotgun, he's not expensive. Plus, it's on his kit. Ruckers are there to run around and get objectives, so you keep them as cheap as possible. They do get a +1 to hit and melee when they charge, but that only brings them up to a 4-up, and they don't... Orlock do not have good melee to start, so I don't think that's worth it. In this case, this guy's armed with an auto pistol and a maul. Like, not great. And he's not going to be great, and that's fine. Some things are utility, like the grenade launcher. Although I'm not sold. Here's the problem, is like right now I can't offer great advice because I haven't actually rolled dice yet. I won't roll dice until tomorrow, or today, later today. But I always used to like the grenade launcher because it's, you can hit people behind cover, and it's got crack. But now you can't hit people behind cover, so I don't actually know. Anyway, let's put some gray on this. Well, first let's actually cover up our, Yeah, we've kind of put off doing, like, how to actually assemble your gang videos for various reasons, mostly because of the new edition. It's something we're looking into. Anyway, I'm not going to modify what I'm doing on this stream right now for that. But, yeah, I'll keep that in mind in the future. Cover up the super glue marks from where we transferred this guy to his little base. Oopsing about all your preamble. Yeah. That's about the most of it. Alright, so we got our gray. Oh gosh, you can see I had to... See, I had to scrape away that, so we're gonna put some primer down on that too to fix it. Most of it just stalling. Yeah, I have to think about doing like a how to actually assemble a gang thing, because I always forget that for some people that doesn't just happen like it does for us. You can tell I primed these in a color that doesn't stick as well. So, the one thing I haven't done yet is assigned specialists to my gangers. For cost reasons, for this gang, which may not be my starting campaign, this is just a skirmish. For cost reasons, because I want to fit the aimbot in, my heavy bolter gal is going to be a ganger with the heavy specialization, because that gives her bulging biceps, which means she can move and shoot, which I think is super important. I still think you do not put a heavy weapon on somebody and have them just stand still and be a turret. I think it's a great way to not have a lot of, A, not have a lot of fun, and B, to not be very effective. So I don't think that's an option. Like, at all. Are you dry yet? Nope. Yeah. I'm still in your base. So we can put down some light gray on this one. Where's my light gray? Or rather, what light gray did I use? Uh-oh. This is why you write down your recipes. Let's try this ash gray. Ah, yeah, that's it. It's a nice warm gray. Get on camera, Josh. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to think about in the future doing some actual, like, building, like, how to build the models physically advice. I believe that we were planning on doing that in concert with the Underhive crew boxes that are coming out. Because those, it's like you buy one, and then you have this thing, how do you actually build it? So once those drop, I think it'll be videos more than streams. I think part of the issue is that I personally don't like watching. Yeah, so what Bulging Biceps do is Bulging Biceps has gone from one of the worst skills in the game to one of the most mandatory skills in the game. Bulging Biceps now means you can move your initiative and then fire. Now, initiative on Orlock is usually 3, so that's not a great, like, it's not a huge distance, but that still means you can get behind cover and then fire. which is far better than being a turret. Like, no mobility in most games is bad. No less so in Necromunda. Yeah, next weekend's when it officially drops. And I don't have my Underhive crew box either. The only one I ordered is the Orlock because I have enough of everything else. Although I might get some of the others too. I might get the Cawdor one. I also don't have Cawdor, but I'm the least interested in Cawdor of all the gangs. So, of course, the challenge here. This is why you could make an argument that you should be doing this before you put your models on. And honestly, the answer is yes, I should have, but I didn't, so I'm not going to. What kit is a good source for an Escher-sized grenade launcher? Yeah, especially now that the Escher grenade launcher is gone from the website. Escher grenade launcher is one of two places. Number one, the Genestealer Cult's Neophyte kit. I have one of those handy. Ah, there we go. I believe. Well, wait. I think these guys have one. Do these guys have a grenade launcher in this kit? Let me check. Let me check the box. Yeah, I might be wrong. They might not have one in here. Yes, they do. They have one in here. See, there you go, right in the middle. It's a little big, but it's actually fine. You'll have to do some kit bashing. Alternatively, the new Cadians. The new Cadians have a grenade launcher that is perfectly sized, or very relatively well-sized for Escher, you know, with their very skinny wrists. So the Cadians, new Cadians kit, the old Imperial Guard kit was like way too big, right? But the new one is perfectly sized for, not perfectly, but well sized for Escher hands. So if you want a grenade launcher on Escher, I would get oh my gosh, can't talk today. I would get the Imperial Guard Cadian kit, or maybe it's the there's two. There's one in the main kit and there's one in the command sprue. The command kit, and they're both fine. There are others out there you could use. You could also steal the one-handed little grenade launcher from the Enforcer kit. That works. It's maybe not ideal, but it works. As long as you're clear about it with your, your gang, your group, and your arbitrator. You could also, let me think, where else do good grenade launchers kits come from? I think that's mostly it, honestly. If you want a really cool one, there is a break action grenade launcher in the Death Corps of Krieg kit, but it's kind of hard to modify for Escher. Looks amazing if you pull it off. This guy's going to get redone entirely anyway. Yeah, that is the question. Is they also, and also, hello, by the way, they went up 15 credits. I still think they're good, because the flexibility between a blast weapon and a crack grenade is still very good. I think they still have merit. I don't know if they're worth it. It's one of the things that I'm going to try and figure out today when I play with this guy, is are you still worth your weight? Are you still worth bringing along? I think so, because having a crack grenade on tap is good. And 80 credits for an AP, or a Strength 6 AP 2 lethality is still really good, I think, personally, in my opinion. However, I don't think it's probably not the auto take it was. But also the competing stuff, like plasma guns, have also gone down to the point that plasma guns are now cheaper. This just occurred to me. Plasma guns are cheaper than, oh my gosh. Hold on, you. Plasma guns are cheaper than grenade launchers, and if you're just looking for something to crack armor, might be a better... I'm waving this guy. Like, I don't have any Italian, but... Mamma mia. Plasma guns might be better for the flexible anti-armor roll. Yeah, you might shoot yourself in the face, but on a specialist. However, plasma guns only have strength 5, so they don't wound strength or toughness 3 models on 2s, which is very nice. So I don't know. Yeah, the GSC Neophyte kit is probably the best Necromunda kit you can buy for kit bashing. Like, legitimately. I have a box full of head. What's in the box? Cotter has lost all faith powers, so without journal. Yeah, I mean, they all lost all their stuff, and they'll sell it back to us. Grumble, grumble. We complained about that already. I'm gonna keep complaining about it because that's me. I don't believe in not complaining. Wait, y'all want me to not complain? You're almost ready. However, we do need to. That is the one thing about this brush-on primer, especially with the monument stuff. It is not durable. So you need to get it down, and it might take a few coats, and then you need to let it sit and dry fully. If you start dry brushing right on top of it, you're going to have a bad time. To be very clear, the brush-on primer is still not as good as any of the other options if you have access to those options. However, if you don't want to reprime the entire model, it's the best thing they have. So, grain of salt. Yes, weapons are way more nuanced. There is way more balance. Every time you say, in my opinion, my brain overlays Dan Rickard voice on top of it. First off, how dare you? That is the most insulting thing you have ever said to me, John. Comparing me to that human being. You start comparing me to Red Face Man, I'm gonna be like, just poop myself in rage. The Italian Jackals, which is a great kit because if you want to convert motorbikes, the Italian Jackals is a perfect kit. The Italian Jackals have that one-handed. It's a nice break action, which means it's small. It's also one-handed, which means it's easier to convert onto your guys because you don't have to deal with the two hands, right? So yeah, I fully recommend the Italian Jackals kit as well. Like, even if you don't play Genestealer cults, if you are interested in kit bashing, and of course have the spare funds to use for this, the Italian Jackals and the Neophyte Hybrid kits are two of the best ones you can get. Highly recommend. Okay, we can put you down. Yes, GSC does not have lasguns and bolters. However, lasguns are cheapest chips from any guard kit. There's also lots of them in other kits. And if we're talking about Escher, they have plenty. Be on camera, Josh. Bolters are a harder find. Specifically, the human-style bolters that would be good for Necromunda are actually relatively difficult to acquire. You can kind of cheat by taking a Space Marine Tactical Marine bolter. Not the Intercessor ones, those won't work. But if you take a Tactical Marine bolter, if you cut the hand off and replace the hand, it still works size-wise. But you need to replace the hand, because, except on Orlock. Orlock have Space Marine-sized hands. And Goliath, but they don't. Yeah. Goliath and Orlock have Space Marine-sized hands, so you don't need to cut their hands off. Anybody else, you gotta cut the hand off. Honestly, the best source for bolters is either the very loreful answer of the Enforcer kit, because those are human-sized bolters, and, like, honestly, if you're in the Underhive and you have a bolter, you probably stole it from an Enforcer, like a dead Enforcer, right? You're wondering why I'm not caring about the boots here. We're going to redo those anyway, because I'm going to highlight them later. So, if I get a little of this ash gray paint on them, I don't care. Or, there are bolters in the various kits for, like, Imperial Guard. Although I don't think there are Encadians anymore. There aren't any bolters anymore, are there? That used to be a great source. Most of my human-sized bolters come from that brief time before the newest set of Cadians, when they had the Cadian upgrade sprue that was kind of supposed to bridge the gap, that had bolters in it, and those were really goodly sized. Deathcore Krieg has bolters, but it's only 2 of them. The RBDs, I think, have some, or at least something that looks like it. Now, let's not get our house, so I don't believe that it's a human being. If you don't watch Blight Club, it is a fun show about people who play the worst video games ever made and complete them. And however, one of them is a man named Dan Rickert, who is an amazing human being, and I'll leave it at that. The reason this stuff works so well is because it has self-leveling properties, but the self-leveling properties means that it will pull away from the edges. So you kind of have to... I'm being persnickety here because I care about this guy, but... Cat Engine Command Kit? I forgot about the Cat Engine Command Kit. They did... Okay, so... Sky Shield, also hello. The answer to the first one is yes. The answer to the second one is, I don't know. I stuck a Cybermastiff head in a GSC body. It makes for a meme muties. That's cool. Cybermastiffs make great mutant furry people. Like, the heads. Yes, the bikes and a quad bike can go with any gang. Bolter was finding old sprue from Space Marines. Yeah, you can find those old sprues. If you can get, like, the old tactical Marines that people don't care about anymore, because they're not very good and haven't been for several dozen editions or whatever, great place to start. All right. Oh, the Scout Heavy Bolters. I didn't think about the Scout Heavy Bolters. Yeah, those are also great. I've got some of those. Or just use the bolt pistol as a bolter. Yes. Yeah, I know. They have the actual resin las cannon guy, and it's gone. No, I fully agree. I would be willing to bet that that comes back in the Arcane Journal, which I'm never going to stop calling it the Arcane Journal, just to the much to the chagrin of friend Kevin. You guys haven't seen that video yet, but yeah, I know. And like that is, and like for example, I think Sky Shield, you missed it. Like this wrecker is a box loadout that's no longer legal because flails aren't in the Orlock gang list anymore. So I built a guy from the full box that isn't a legal model. Or plasma pistols, which aren't on the Orlock gang list anymore. They also aren't great, but that's the thing, Sky Shield. I think, and that was, I don't know if you watched it, so I don't mean to repeat ourselves, but our review of the edition is I really like the rules and the monetization sucks, which is kind of every single GW thing, right? All right, so more overbrushing. This time with yellow. We're gonna paint a yellow Orlock. What yellow do I want to use? I've got Moonbeam yellow. Yeah, let's do that. I don't know if this is going to work, by the way. We're going to find out together. Come with me on this journey. A lot of bolters. Oh, yeah, I actually bought a Sisters kit for the bolters. You do got to redo the hands because they look very sisterly. But yeah. Well, we don't know that for certain, Trader Garden. We don't know if it's in the journal or not. My guess is it will be, but they might just say that las cannons aren't Necromunda. They do still have the plasma cannon, and honestly, if you're worried about just using something, first off, the plasma cannon is a lot better than it used to be, I think, because it went down in cost. And it's no longer just a plasma gun with AoE. Just use your las cannon as a plasma cannon, and I think you're good to go. Alright, so, same thing here. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to... Alright. I'm nervous. Okay. So basically what we're saying is this guy used to be painted yellow, and then the Enderhive happened. If that works. This might not work, because it might be too goopy. Shoulder to ridge on. Yeah, like, I'm not happy about it. And you don't have to move to the new edition. Like, I'm playing, you know, I'm talking about the new edition right now. I'm playing a game in the new edition later. You don't have to. We're still playing in the old edition with a Secundus campaign with our full group, mostly because most of that group doesn't want to buy new stuff yet. Or doesn't want to reduce access to the stuff they have. Oh, the flail. Yeah. Again, we don't know that. Could not. I'm a cynic, so. Alright, so you can see the problem here is that overbrushing with yellow paint, this is not looking like we want it to look. because it's too textured, right? So that's not going to accomplish what I want to accomplish. Okay. Now, the question is if I have a whole bunch of layers of this, will it even out? Maybe, but I think we got to change our brush for that. And I think we need to change from that to this, our texture palette. And we're going to get a poofy brush to try and reduce some of that streaking. We're having an adventure together, so... This is not a tutorial. I don't do tutorials on streams. I don't do tutorials at all. Well, I actually have done a couple, just not out yet. See, that helps a little bit because it's a little smoother. There we go. That's what we're going for. Okay, so if you want to do this, use a poofy brush, use cardboard or texture palette or something like that. To, basically this will help avoid some of the streaking. And it will still take a few coats. But we're going to end up with a yellow ambot without having to painstakingly paint tons of yellow layers. The other answer, of course, is you could just, sponging. Ooh, I don't like sponging on full colors. I prefer this method, but that is a thing you can do. Maybe we'll try that on the other ambot for fun on a different day. I prefer doing it this way and then sponging on the brown. Of course, the real way to do it is using your brush or use a rattle can to prime it yellow, right? But this way, yeah, we're going to see... Well, so there's... The question is there, Trader Guardsman, is... Because we know that from the journal, right? You're going to have, 2 or 3 different gang archetypes to choose from. The question is, are there other things added that everyone in your army can use? Gang can use. Because the table of contents is not clear. And there is going to be a reckoning, I think. There's going to be another stage of people either adopting or dropping this game based on what happens. Oh yeah, the flail is just a maul, by the way. Yeah, I think that is the correct answer, Bellamar, is, rules-wise, I'm going to say the flail's a maul. Because what is a flail except a maul on a stick? And the maul is no longer bad. It's just +1 strength. It no longer has the adding AP to people. I just broke him because I was not being careful. This is the problem with dry brushing. So we're going to get under here first, and then I'm going to glue that back on. Always be wary of your fiddly bits. Yeah, I've never actually done full sponge-on painting. I've done sponge-on weathering a lot, but I've never done full, bop, 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 bop with actual paint colors. Maybe I'll try that on the other ambot, or some terrain. I'll probably try it on some terrain first. I do have, well, sorry, I don't have it yet. I ordered the new terrain for this edition, as well as everything else. So I will be painting and assembling that, possibly on camera, and definitely talking about whether it's worth buying. Spoiler, it's fine. It's not a good terrain kit by itself, but it's a great terrain kit to add to your existing Necromunda stuff. And yeah, that is the end of the day. You could always house rule it, right? I will say, I think the last cannon, if you just put its existing rules into current Necromunda, I think it would actually be way less good. Because the AP, it doesn't have the +1 to hit anymore because nothing does. And the range doesn't matter as much. It would still be fine, but I actually don't know if it would be an auto-take. And it's no longer an auto-take for, dealing with vehicles, because you can actually deal with vehicles with other weapons now. vehicles. Vehicles are the ones where I'm kind of on the fence of whether I love or hate what they did. Alright, so. Now, key to dry brushing is you gotta let it dry, right? We gotta let this sit, and we gotta let this dry, because like right here, on his little shoulder pad here, like I could work that all I want until it's dry. It's not gonna actually do anything, so I need to put him aside. However, look at that. He's already looking like a piece of construction equipment, which is what we want. And then we'll put hazard stripes right here. It's been an hour. I'm going to get a water real quick. He says that he doesn't move. All right, now I'm going to get a water real quick. And also get another paper towel. Towel. If I need to see the new custom vehicle rules, good news, there aren't any. Cheap makeup eggs are good for panel painting. Oh yeah, I never used the makeup eggs yet for that. I'll have to get some. I have the makeup sponges that I use for the enamel washing, but I don't have any makeup eggs. So vehicle rules, I totally agree. I wish they'd gone halfway, because right now what they did is they just turned it into what gangers are. They're just very tough gangers. I don't miss the damage tables part where like you could shoot it and nothing happened. What I do miss is the damage table part where you could shoot it and it would go careen off of a cliff and explode. Because that felt very... I don't miss the facings. Like, I don't feel like that added a lot to Necromunda. I don't miss the shooting things and then like only ever lose one hull point maybe, but I do miss the randomness of the like the table for like swerving and stuff like that. So we're probably gonna, I think one of the first things we're gonna do, because obviously right now none of this works with the old racing rules, and we liked those a lot, right? So I think one of the first things we're gonna do is try and adapt the wacky races for the new edition after we get some. And, like, you could just play the wacky races with the new vehicle rules, but I think it'd be kind of boring. I think you need the randomness of getting hit and, like, you know, swerving or jackknifing. And I think the facing does matter there. So I think what we'll do is we'll, like, kind of update those for the new edition. That being said, at that point, honestly, nothing else has really changed. I think you just use the old vehicle rules with the wacky races, because in that format, having that much going on isn't as debilitating. Alright, so we're going to get some paint on this guy just to get some paint over the cloth. So let's start with our wolf gray. Blue. We're going to repaint all this guy anyway, so... This chainsword arm is kind of weird. I don't actually know where it ends. I hope they make an extended set for a Gorkamorka Mad Max Wrestling mode. I wouldn't count on it. I think that's going to have to be a you need to be the change you wish to see in the world type thing, because there's way too many other things that they will do first. Didn't put the effort into that, unfortunately, because I also love that. You know, we loved wacky races a lot. I mean, Wheels of Fury. Sorry.
I loved it so much I refuse to call it by the thing it's actually called, right? You're wondering why I'm putting all this blue down? It's because I'm just trying to cover up that primer to give it another layer of stability. So I'm being very, very rough. Yeah. I don't think a full stream where I talk about my building process of, like, making a gang would be fun to watch, because I made my gang last night, and it was mostly me sitting on my couch with my book for about an hour and a half reading, and then because there's no Munda Manager yet for this edition, writing things down on paper and then scribbling it out and then, like, redoing it a million times, because I didn't want to sit at my computer desk anymore, because I did this before I went to bed, so I could, you know... You're not supposed to go to bed right after your computer time. It's not good for your eyes or brain or anything else. So I like to unwind by doing something non-digital. In this case, it was like, okay, write down all the skills and everything else. Okay, there we go. Now let's put some black on that. Actually, we'll put some tenebrous gray, which is a great off black. I tell you what, I almost never paint with real black anymore. Because it's just easier to see if you don't. So, we're going to put some of this on just the... Again, we're just covering this up to get the primer settled, right? Plus the, eventually, this guy's chainsword will have hazard stripes. Because he's my leader. He deserves it. But... in my effort to get him table ready, that will come later. Necromunda with pen and paper is painful. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, however, the campaign we're doing for this edition is only the 4 of us on the channel. If we were doing the 8 to 10 person campaign that we're doing for Secundus, yeah, we're using Munda Manager for that. Alright, there we go. So now, while we're waiting for that other stuff to dry, we can actually start putting some colors on him. So we've got his skin. Here's the problem. I don't remember what skin color I used. Was it tan flesh? No, he's more pink than that. Oh, Murder Cyborg. That's the nice thing about Murder Cyborg, is it's the soul of it is easy to capture. Is it fair skin? Is it rosy skin? I don't know what it is. Let's try... You know what? We're just going to put down rosy skin. Oh, you know what? It's probably weathered skin. Eh. If we don't like it, we'll paint over it. My brushes are starting to degrade. I haven't updated these in a while. I'm starting to feel it. So, this guy doesn't have a lot of skin showing. It's mostly his face, his fingies, which we're going to do later because there's no point in doing them now. And then this part right here. I like this rosy skin color from the Army Painter historical sets, but it doesn't cover as well as some of their other skin tones. You can kind of tell. Hey, you almost can't tell I had to kit bash that, right? Don't answer that. Okay. So while waiting for that to dry, we can take our blue, and I think I used a different blue for the shirt initially under here, so we're going to redo this. It has come to my attention that some people do the collar in white, like this little collar underneath there. And on the one hand, that would look really cool. On the other hand, I don't want to. Alright. Now I use Corvus Black for the jacket because that kind of bluish actually really helps. But do I want to do the jacket next? No, I don't. I want to wait for that to dry. What do I want to do next? Oh, the pants, probably. The pants I've been using strap gray. Or, sorry, iron clad gray. It's actually really close to Corvus Black, so I should probably flip it. Flip the script a little bit and do something a little different. I have another kind of, like, slightly lighter gray. I only want a slightly lighter gray. I do have deep gray. On the other hand, I guess there's not a reason that the pants have to be a different color than the jacket, except my own desire to have some delineation. Stupid. Sitting over here looking at the AMBAT going, are you dry yet? I want to dry brush you more. Yeah, let's just get out the strap gray again. If I can find it. I was just holding it. There you are. I keep saying strap, I mean ironclad. There. It's almost black, but not quite. Of course, the main reason to do an almost black instead of a black is, say it with me, you can, Oh, the Necromunda Manager is actively working their butts off on getting the new edition. Like, they've been in communication on their Discord. And they've been telling people, like, look, they're trying, man. And it's, you know, they're not, by understanding, they're actually doing it and not using AI slop coding, which is great, because I wouldn't really want to work with them, or use their stuff if they were. But it's taken them a little bit, you know. There's a lot of moving parts. Even in the simplified edition, there's a lot of moving parts. So they're working on it. It'll be out. Think the greenhorns will make fun of them? I mean, this is the leader, so if a greenhorn makes fun of them, I think they just get a melt-a-gun shot to the face. Like, the leader wants to wear... Then again, I guess if you're Orlock and you're wearing bright yellow hammer pants, you're probably not going to be an Orlock for long. But yeah, Money Manager is working on it, and I will, as soon as they get it out, I will be jumping on it, because screw having to do this stuff manually. But I am kind of finding a little joy in writing everything down on paper. Although, as soon as the campaign starts, what I will do is I will just bring my iPad, and it will all be done on Google Docs or whatever. And before they notice the Melta. Nice shirt! I mean, no, really, nice shirt. Please don't melt-a-gun me. Bweem. I don't use melt-a-guns as often as I want, so this is actually kind of an exciting opportunity for me. But here's the thing, this arm is from the upgrade kit, the weapons and upgrades kit, which means I don't actually know exactly how it's supposed to work. Like, I think there's some armor on here, but I'm actually not quite sure where the armor, what color I want the armor and the pad to be, because it's not on most Orlock stuff. So it's kind of interesting, because I think I'll just do, like, make it a leather pad. I don't think I'll do armor iron on it, but then again, it does kind of, I don't know, I'll have to see what happens. Emphasis on you almost can't tell. But I had to kit bash this. You can if you look closely. Now for our first campaign, we're not doing vehicles. Mostly because I want to get the core rules in my head before I do them, because I've already made mistakes on camera, and I hate doing that. In my defense, I was also very tired, but... There we go. Nice rosy skin here. I wonder what color we're going to make his hair. Everyone else has like a red or an auburn, so I need to do something different with him. Could just do good old-fashioned black. Could do blonde. Could do gray, have him be an elder. It's just not sticking here. I might need to put down an undercoat. Yeah, that's just not doing what I want it to do there. That's okay. We'll just come back and do that later. Fanstar rig is not a vehicle? No! There's no written restrictions at all. Technically, they're not even restricted in tunnel warfare games that I noticed. I need to reread that. Just Lash, that's a great name. I need to recheck that. I'm gonna say, rather than give you an answer when I'm not sure of it, I'm gonna say I don't remember exactly for sure. But I remember looking at least in the section for tunnel warfare. It doesn't say anything about no vehicles, which is very funny. But that's a practicality thing, right? Like, you know. But yeah, like the Ash Waste Arachne rig, I think that the Arachne rig should be able to go anywhere. Like, I don't think you should be banning that from Mechanicus games, because there's, I mean, it's not that much bigger than a law bot or an ambot, right? In fact, it's not bigger than a law bot at all. Law bots are tall, and they can go anywhere. So. Might be a rules as written versus rules intended thing. I've already found one major error, which is that in the core book it says that Escher get +1 to agility tests. In the actual Escher profiles it says that Escher get to reroll 1s of agility tests. And that's a really, really, really big mathematical difference. So, you know, check your flipping work, guys, if you're going to charge us for these new books. Aye. But what else is new? For my boots, I'm using Brigadine Brown. I saw the King Crab mech on Instagram. You just have one like that. Had to glue a sewing needle for extra support because the legs were so well. Yeah. Do I have him right here? Do I put him in a dust in the anti-dust mech? I put it in the way. The King Crab mech. Yeah. I love that mech. I need to repaint him. I didn't do a great job. I also need to, like, post on the Instagram more. I've been very bad about using our social media channels. Mostly because I don't use a lot of social media for my own health. I kind of hate Instagram. But I hate all social media, so it doesn't really mean anything when I say that. This song is under the punk alternative genre, and you know what? I'm not really... I like it, but I'm not really feeling the connection here. There we go. Now, Battletech is a game that I wish I liked a lot more than I do, but I've just never been able to actually enjoy playing much Battletech. I don't know, it's something about the way the rules are set up. I also don't really like playing Battletech in the digital version either, so I think it is just kind of a setup of the rules, which is strange. It's kind of weird because I like the mechs. Someone in the Discord asked if we were going to get into Flames of Orion, which is kind of a competing mech game. And it does look cool, but I guess maybe I just don't like mech games? I don't know. Well, if you could describe ska to someone badly. Ska defines who I am as a person. I will never turn my back on ska. This is also... I would call this, like, kind of funk ska right now. Oh, you know what? It's because it's under the alternative. Can weird powers go through walls? Not inherently, no. They will say on there whether they require a line of sight or not. And it depends on what you mean by walls. This is kind of an interesting thing in Necromunda. Although I need to reread this to double check it is still true. But previously, in 23, walls are an impassable object that can never be gone through unless specifically specified. So even if something doesn't require a line of sight, you still measure around a wall. If that's still true, then no. Most psychic powers now do require line of sight. However, the Orlock little guy that boosts their length of weird powers specifically says that he can tunnel through walls and that he doesn't have to have line of sight to his master. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on this one, folks. So I believe Orlock, and this is why I think Orlock are actually kind of eating well for their weird powers. Their weird powers got a lot better. They got a lot longer range, and if you give them the little guy that boosts them, you can do shenanigans like the little guy still has to be able to see them, but the master of the little guy doesn't have to be able to see the little guy, which means you can functionally go through walls. Because your little guy has like a 4 invulnerable save, he's hard to kill, and also if he does die, you don't care about him because he's a pet. So, Psyworm, yeah. Thank you. Sorry, as said, I don't know Orlock nearly as well as the other gangs, so that's one of the reasons why I'm getting into Orlock. But, yeah, reading through their rules, I'm actually kind of excited to get into Orlock. I don't think they'll replace Orlock as my main gang. It will depend on if I can find a color scheme and a theme that I like for them. I think will determine how much I actually fall in love with Orlock. I just realized that the reason the music was doing that is because it's not just punk, it's punk/alternative, and alternative is just a catch-all for everything that doesn't fit in. I need a drink real quick. A giant mason jar of water mixed with electrolyte fluid or whatever it is. Make your own electrolyte fluid, just put a little sugar and salt and water. I haven't figured out how to make it taste good yet, but you can do it. This guy's either going to have a blonde beard or a gray beard. I'm not sure which. I haven't decided. Anyway, let's do his jacket. So my jacket, I'm still using. I haven't found something. If anyone knows of a color that matches this exactly that comes in a dropper bottle, let me know. It's Corvus Black, which is this black that has a little bit of blue to it. And by a little bit, I mean actually kind of a lot. It's like a rubber black. Previously, I would have said like Secret Weapon Miniatures. But they're out of business. Citric acid or some lemon juice? Ooh, I didn't think about that. I'll have to try that. Yeah, if anybody knows of a dropper bottle replacement for Corvus Black, but I want to be, like, I'm being persnickety on this one. I want it to be exactly Corvus Black before I switch. Because I like Corvus Black, but again, GW pots make my head hurt. And we're using this for the jacket, which is black, but this means that when we actually shade and highlight it, it'll actually, like, shade and highlight instead of just being black, which you can't shade well. And the blue rubberness of it actually helps sell the idea of shine, which is what helps sell the idea of leather. What I am telling you now is stuff I'm repeating from having just learned it like 2 days ago from the good old Sonic Sledgehammer, because he did a video on painting Orlock, which if you are at all interested in painting Orlock, you should go watch. He did it very differently. He did lots of dry brushing on his. He's a better painter than I am. But if you are at all looking into painting your Orlock, I would check out the Sonic Sledgehammer video on it that just came out like 2 days ago, because it is very good for getting them very... I mean, he calls it tabletop ready. I call it pretty darn good. I don't often get envy, but that one made me go, oh, he's so much better at this than I am. So I stole the idea. I think he used something called Raven Black, which I need to hunt down. Which, I mean, judging by the name alone, you'd think it would be a pretty one-to-one. I'm gonna start with the lock, but I found Orlock used sprue from the Ashways box and they grunt me. Yeah. Vallejo Game Color Charcoal. Okay, I'll look at that too. I will say that I don't love a lot of the game color consistency, but it varies wildly, is what I'm finding. Which it does for Army Painter's Fanatic too. Or rather, I should say, Army Painter's Fanatic paints don't vary wildly. They vary between most colors and their yellows and oranges. The yellows and oranges are still not, like, I don't love their consistency. Game color, like, there are some paints of theirs I really like, and some paints I'm like, oh god, I wish you would, like, not be what you are. I'm talking about the new formulation. I didn't have a lot of interaction with the old formulation because my game store didn't carry it. So yeah, we're gonna... Remember, always paint up. Paint from the lowest, so we painted the skin first. Kind of. We're still working on that over here, right? And then we painted the shirt, and now we're painting the jacket. Now, if I get some of the black of the jacket on... Tale of Painters has an archive miniature color. Yeah, I've never been able to find use for those much, and I think it might be just an eyes or a screen thing. I usually gotta try it in person before I kind of like trust it to actually be what I want. There we go. Gamer pro tip. You can avoid the envy load trigger if everyone is simply better than you. Well, I got over it really quickly because comparison is the thief of joy. And Sonic's been doing it for... It might have been longer than I've been alive. He's not that much older than me, but he is older than me. And I think, yeah, he's certainly been painting... I've only been painting for... Wow, I'm coming up on my 10th year anniversary of actually painting minis. Because I started in 2016 with that Kill Team box. And he's been doing it for at least twice that long, possibly 3 times this long, so, you know. And plus, some people just have more time, and some people are just better at it, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I'm sure I could find something that I'm better at than some other people. Whether those things are useful or not is, you know, debatable. I have an encyclopedic knowledge of Weird Al songs, which does come up more than you would think. Vallejo Model German Gray. Okay, so Model Color German Gray is what we started the stream with on him. That's what he was primed in. It's one of my favorite colors to prime in because it's like black, but it's a great off black, but it doesn't quite have the blue of Chorus. However, German Gray or German Panzer Gray is wonderful, wonderful color for painting an off black. It's more of a grayish off black, but 10/10 do recommend. Marks my 1-year anniversary. Ooh, there you go. I'm happy you're along for the ride. I have Turnbull Turquoise from Army Painter. Ooh, interesting. I have Turnbull Turquoise somewhere. I don't know where it is. Turquoise? This is why I need to start these streams earlier, because I feel like I only got half an hour, 40 minutes, 20 minutes left, and I feel like I didn't get as much done as I wanted to. So, maybe next week. I always say that, and then stuff always happens that comes up and I, like, can't, but I'd like to do, I think I could do a 3-hour stream pretty easily. God, these collars are so big. Okay, that's fair, Jenna. I'd say it is a chicken and egg situation, right? It's like Weird Al songs come up often because I'm, you know, this song sounds a lot like Weird Al, says guy who only ever listens to Weird Al. Gotta get inside the collar here. It's always interesting and fun. Charred gray? Charcoal gray? Yeah. Charcoal's all, and the charcoal is a great color. It's that weird bluish that I'm looking for. There's one in P3 as well that I need to try. And, you know, I might just have to find something that's really, really, really close and then just adapt what else I do to make it work if I don't want to use the pots. But I tell you what, I am getting sick of this pot. Like, it's a brand new pot and it's already irritating me. Cheating a little bit, because the thing about black color is if you stick it back here in the recess, even if the thing isn't supposed to be black, it's actually kind of okay, because that means it's a shadow. So like back here, I'm going to kind of, like, I know I'm getting the back of his neck here, but that's actually kind of fine, because it'll be in shadow. GD pots are a scam? Literally, they did say. I mean, they got caught in that investor call. This was like 10, 20 years ago, where they're like, yeah, we don't want to change the pots because the fact they dry out means people buy more paint. That being said, they have upped their game enough that there are colors that I still buy from GW because I have not found other things that do what they want and I can deal with the pots. And by that I mean mostly Corax White and Corvus Black. The two Raven Guard colors. An army that I really should love, but I don't like painting black armor. I mean, they just haven't figured out a good... I could repot them into dropper bottles, but I feel like the paint lost in the redropper in the repotting process is just not worth the effort to me. See, when you put it over a zenithal and you on your first coat, you can really see how blue this is. Probably made out on my camera. I'm going to paint this black. Even though it's going to be metallic, I'm still going to paint it black because the metallic will go better over the black anyway, and also it'll help me keep track of it. Okay, there we go. I'm assuming we need a second coat of that, but let's do another coat of the skin tone over here. There we go. Oops, I messed up. Oh well, it's okay, I was going to have to redo that anyway. we go. Okay. That's good enough for that. Now once that dries, I'll redo it. Okay, so that leaves the... So just a Vallejo and start painting again. Couldn't bring myself to buy another Jude Pot. Yeah, I don't... Like, there's like... I have a pretty vast collection. Not vast. Probably have a couple dozen GW paints. Most of them are contrast paints, but there are a few ones I want just because I really like Corvus Black and I really like Corax White. Which is astounding. It's something I've never thought I'd say because old Corax White, if you know, you know, was one of the worst things ever invented by man. Just gloopy and terrible, and I hated it so much, but no longer. Okay. Remember, always wear a belt that matches your shoes. So he's got a brown belt because he's got brown shoes. It's like the one thing I know about fashion. Belt should always match the shoes. Oh, my camera froze. Barp.
Camera. Said no. Camera. Activate. How about now? There we go.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. I did put in a couple agitators in my Corax White, and I think it helped a lot, but... Okay, that made me lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, let's work on the brown here. Okay, another coat of brown on the shoes. Careful where we hit the gray up there. Okay, here we go. And then another brown over here. Nostalgia 94. I don't know if you're in the Discord, you should post that, because I'm not familiar with that. Is it Necromunda Nostalgia? Or is it like old paint pots kind of thing? Because if it's old paint, I don't have any nostalgia for those, because I never used them, so... I have the luxury of being able to kind of judge a paint as purely if I like it now or not. We probably need another layer of brown on the belt. But first, let's do another layer of black on the jacket. Layer of black on the jacket, and then... Well, that's why I was asking him, was I talking about models or paints? Because, yeah, if it was paint nostalgia, I don't have it. I wasn't 2 years old in 94. Ish. I might try the white collar thing on this guy. It's ironic, because he's a blue-collar worker, but a white-collar leader, apparently. Gotcha. Ah, so it's like Delve in Mud. I mean, yeah, if it's just old GW inspired paints, and if they're good paints, then yeah. It is interesting how much more we demand of our paints now. And that's just kind of normal, right? It's one of the few things that has not been hit by the kind of the rest of the world of, like, you know, enshittification or whatever, where it's like things just get worse and more expensive. Miniature paints now are better than they were 10 years ago. In a lot of ways. They're more easy to use, they're more friendly, and they're not significantly more expensive anymore than everything else is more expensive. GW has done shrinkflation several times, but so them aside, but like Army Painter paints are better than they were, Reaper paints are better, Monument's a better paint thing. We are living in kind of a golden age of paint availability. There's like 4 or 5 different brands that I would say are all pretty equally great and good, and you can use any of them and have a good paint experience, right? You're not going to be turned off by your tools. Actually, not to say that, you know, because people were doing amazing things. Does that make him a middle manager? Possibly. Maybe it's a commentary on how the gangs are actually just tools of the corporate elites that run Necromunda. Well, they're more feudal elites, technically, than corporate. I forgot to do this. Did I get under here yet? Yeah, I did, but I can get another one. There we go. So I've heard very different things about Vallejo. I've not tried their new model color. I like their new game colors a lot better than I like their old game colors. So that might be a to-taste thing, but also might be, like, I've not tried their new model colors. Some of the old model colors I had, but I think the ones I got were old because they were all universally terrible, but I think that is a relic of me getting ones that were, like, old and crappy and not fresh. Because people were like, oh, you gotta get the deck tan, and I got some deck tan, and it was not great, but it's also gloopy and bad. Okay, let's do cleanup with our blue. Oh, that was a mistake. Oh well, fix it. Yeah, we'll fix that in a second. Huh, dries with micro bubbles, that sucks. Good to know. Oh, right, yeah, you over here. And Vallejo has its own problem because they got caught by, bought by venture capital, which is the MO in venture capital is cut costs, drain it dry, and move on. They're functionally locusts. So we'll see how much longer they stay around. It could also be a shipping issue. Because I know it was a big problem with Badger airbrush paints. And like why I hated them for the longest time and did not understand why everyone was talking about Badger style res as if it was this thing that was worth using. And then I was told, oh yeah, what you're describing is a paint that was frozen in transport. and kept on the shelf for too long. It's like, oh, okay, so I can't use Badger Stynel Res because the only place around here that covers it, carries it, just lets everything freeze. Yeah. Honestly, I don't use a lot of Vallejo colors because our game store only has the game color line. They don't have the model color line, which is what I would probably be more interested in. And it has Army Painter and Pro Acryl. They had that before they had the game color line, so I just kind of stuck with those. And now their model color line, which is of course primarily jiggered towards historicals, is kind of being replaced for me, or kind of, I don't need it anymore because of Army Painters doing their historicals, which are very much filling that gap of giving me those nice, drabs and all that stuff that I would have to normally get from Vallejo model color. Well, that's not really a thing. I don't have to anymore because do another layer of this. This is spotty today. Yeah, Army Painter, I often joke, Army Painter at some point just decided, what if we made good paints? Now, there have been people who've been using Army Painter to good effect for years and years and years, so I say that with some degree of funniness, but beforehand, I could not stand Army Painter. Now, it's kind of my primary what I use. I like the thicker formulation a little bit. Dang it, I keep messing up and hitting the collar. I like the thicker formulation a little bit better than Pro Acryl. That's kind of a taste thing, though. And I still use a lot of Pro Acryl paints as well. Ugh. No, yeah. There's no LGS near you. That's a different story. Unfortunately, I'm very, very spoiled to live near a very good one. Okay. And we need another one right here. Paint factory for the olden days. Coat of Arms, yep. Coat d'Arms, I believe. Which is a brand some people still should swear by. Alright, let's get some strat painted here. There we go. Hold my breath a little bit. I'm going to come back and do that metallic, so I'm just going to paint the whole darn thing brown to make sure I don't miss anything. There we go. Oh, he's starting to look like a person. Okay. I need to get that skin back there that I messed up. I'm almost out of time, too, because I got to record with Mitchell here in like 4 minutes, but yeah, I might have to start starting earlier. This feels like just like I get on a rolls when I gotta stop, and that's probably a good sign to Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of black behind his ear. Need more rosy skin, but I don't think I'm going to put it down right now because I won't need it, or I won't use it today. Because after this, I'm busy for the rest of the day on family stuff, and then my game I gotta play with Kevin. Looking forward to that. The first time I throw dice for the new edition, I'll let you know if it sucks or not. Hopefully it won't. I guess while we're here with our remaining time, we'll let me see, what else do I need to do? I need to do his hair and his face. I need to do the goggles. I'll do that last. I always do. Let's do the brown on his back here. I guess I didn't need to give him a chainsaw. He just have the big old knife. But unfortunately, fighting knives are no longer what they once were. They mainly work now because there's no back arc anymore. For people. So backstab now is, I think, +1 to hit, and if you're engaged with somebody else. Or if their enemy is engaged with somebody else. Which is still good, but it's not the force multiplier that it was. Which is why it has also, in fairness, gone down 10 credits. It's now only 5 credits. Like, the fighting knife is the cheapo option. Which it wasn't necessarily before, because, like, it was still, like, a fighting knife was actually 15 or so credits. Like, it was actually kind of expensive. That is no longer the case. It is now cheap as chips, because it isn't very good. However, it does play into using a bunch of juvies, or whatever, to swarm targets. Of course, the problem is you do have to survive. And we'll get one layer down here, and then we'll be done, because Mitchell's going to be waiting for me. But hey, I think that means we've got all the white and gray gone, except for the skull and the cloth. There we go. Glorp. Glorp, 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 glorp. And there we go. Yeah, Juvies. The prospects have, yes, the prospects do tend to have, like, one higher initiative than everyone else. All right, well, we're going to call it there, because I got to go record with Mitchell. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, as always. Hope you had fun today. Hope you had got some painting or hobbying of your own done. If you're watching from the VODs, hello from the future. I hope you have a great day there, too. We'll be back, of course, with more Necromunda stuff this week. We've already got things recorded in the can, and we'll be doing lots and lots of other things as with the new edition and old edition stuff as well. So, as always, if you hit the like button, I really appreciate it, because, you know, blah, 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 YouTube stuff. I'm not going to overly advertise that to you here. What I will advertise, actually, instead, is our Discord. If you're not there already, it is free. It is linked below. We'd love to have you there, because that's where we chat and post cool pictures and lots of other stuff. So, thank you all so much for joining me. I will see you all in the future.